That's South America continent, and Patagonia, it's located right in the south triangle of it. It's something that we shared in between Chile and Argentina. Right there, it's the Andes. Western from that is Chile, and Argentina on the left, on the right side. I'm sorry. This is a very large area, and I'm trying to put all the problems that we have together, although there are a lot of different situations all along the Andes in that area. The backcountry activities started in the area in the northern part of Patagonia around 1930. The first climbing clubs were created, and there were some people who started to do some activities around. But to be sincere, there were very few people. Increasing on time, not very much, up to the 70s, where, as you said, in here we experienced the same trekking boom around that decade. And there were a lot of people going around, walking and experience outdoors, though there were not an environmental criteria. No the trash policies, no management of any kind of human waste. The thing was just going out, hiking a little bit, and coming back, not more than that. The same situation happens in the southern part of Patagonia, maybe 20 or 30 years later than that. In the area of Chalten, maybe some of you have heard about it. About the waste, the human waste, the conflictive situations, they started to be obvious maybe 2 decades ago with this boom of people going around. You can go out and see some of these problems that there were not that many 2 decades ago, but they are increasing every day from then to now. We have a lot of visitors from many locations, not only from Argentina, not only locals, but a lot of people coming from America and from Europe mostly. These people have different uses, different habits of what they do in the backcountry. So this is an issue that we have to manage, because people who arrive to the area, they have different expectations of what they do, of the services that we should provide, and they require us as managers different things. Another thing is that big parties are allowed. There's no any kind of restrictions about the amount of people going in one single party. And as you already know for sure, is that a lot of people in one single party, they make a lot of damage, even more than the same amount of people spread in different single parties. Still now, we do not have established any kind of acceptable limit of change in any area. So the amount of people that it's able to arrive to the different spots is the amount of people that they really want to go. Let me go through pretty quickly about 2 different situations that we have to manage if we talk about waste. One, it has to do with the regular waste, the one that we can recycle of the leftovers of food or things like that. And the other one is what is asking now to be here is human waste, you know. About the first one, I think it's important for you to know something, that there is a there's a social habit, I call it that way, that we have to go through if we want to manage this kind of waste, you know. We do not have recycling plants in Argentina, maybe very few of them, so the amount of waste that we recycle is very few. Because of that, we do not have the habit to recycling of, or maybe it's on the other way, you know, because we do not have the habit, we are not recycling. Either way, we do not process our garbage. Everything goes to incinerators or to landfills. So that's what we usually do. So whenever Argentinian guys go to the backcountry, what they usually do is more or less what we are used to do, you know. If we can, we incinerate the garbage, or we try to bury it. Not always, this thing is changing, but this is the traditional way that we manage the garbage in the backcountry. There are no additional rules in the backcountry, so the regulations that you may apply in front country of how to manage garbage is all the regulation that we get. And of course, rangers are very few people if we take into account the amount of acres or hectares that they have to cover. So the possibility to enforce those regulations that there are is very few. But talking about sanitary waste, what we have to say is that, as I told you before, the same regulations that there are in the front country areas, you can find it in the back country areas. I was talking with some guys that drainage ditch is not the proper translation of the system that we usually use. It's called drain fields or something like that. Well, that's what I've been told. That's the only system that we usually use, even front country or back country, and the facilities that we get there. So as you can see, there is no require to retire the waste, the human waste that it's accumulated in the back country or even in the front country. So the waste take advantage of the properties of the soil, the chemical, biological, mechanical possibilities that the soil has to reduce the waste, the human waste, but that's it. We are not taking it out. Of course, because of that, there is a high concentration in those areas where there is a lot of use, which is not the common thing. We do not have areas extremely highly demanded, you know. There are some spots only all along Patagonia area in the Argentinian side, but besides of that, in those spots, the concentration of human waste and of course the pollution is a lot. The only things that we can do the only things that we do about it is to advise the use of cat holes and to go more than 2 feet ago of the water streams, lakes or rivers or whatever, the things that we've been talking before, so I'm not going through those. And this takes me to these questions, you know. The absence of regulations maybe mean that managers of backcountry use in Argentina, we maybe didn't detect the problem, or maybe it's something that we do not have to deal with. I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but this is the real issue, and well, the idea of being in here was to tell you, to give you the right picture of what is going down there. We are trying to face it from 4 different points of view, and I'm going to go through them pretty quick just to give you the idea of what is going on through these points of view in Patagonia, the Argentinian. We are talking about public consciousness, we are talking about regulations, we are talking about economical resources, and we are talking about the technology that we can apply to the whole thing. If we talk about public consciousness, we can say, and I'm very happy to say this, that it's increasing in the last decade very much. So the amount of people that take care of this, it's extremely more in the last years than many years before. We also can say that there is more commitment in foreigners, visitors, than in the local ones. And this may be because in America or maybe in Europe also, these issues are being discussed for more time, so it's inside people's minds. And what gives me more hope about all of this is that in local people, the young guys, they have a commitment much more than the traditional, the elder people. So it's like maybe in the future, if we're lucky, this thing is going to change a little bit at least. About regulations, what I can say is something like what I said before, you know, only the regular garbage is required to be packed out. Human waste, there's no regulations about it, so as a user, we can do whatever we want. The concessionaires that there are in the backcountry area, they are required to manage the regular garbage, but the human waste, just with those drained ditches or whatever was the name of it, just put it underneath the ground, it's okay. They are not required to take them out anyway. And as friendly use is advised, it's not enforced. I'm talking with friendly use what we said about cat holes, what we said about the distance from the water. We also asked for people in the glacier area to crevasse the garbage. But as I said, it's not enforced, so we depend on the goodwill of the people. And very few people in there to enforce, but more important to that, to be able to talk with the people, to explain the situation, and to tell them and make them know why we are trying to change in these situations. About economical resources, this is pretty simple to understand. You know, there is no a big issue about trekking in Argentina, although it's growing and there are some spots with it. This is a very profitable activity. In general, the economical circuit that it's going around it, it's very small. So the amount of money that is being moved because this activity is not very much. There are no entrance fees, there are no permits required, so there is no money coming into because of this. So that's another thing that make things more difficult because there is no economical resources that we can use to change this situation, or at least to put some different up. The government investment in this area is really minimal. And what happened with the concessionaires, usually they are asked to invest in different things, not in waste, in human waste management. So the money that they have to put in the system, it's used in different things, not in the human waste management. And about technology, this is very tied with the economical resources. You know, there is technology that we can use. We have vendors there with a lot of solutions that we can use. There is some beautiful devices in here in the parking lot. But the thing is that those things cost money. And you know, if there is not technology available, the reason maybe it's because there is not an economical circuit going around, so it's really difficult to make this work, you know. No local answers, maybe because there is not a market, so no one in Argentina is thinking about bags where you can pee or poo or whatever. And there is very expensive to bring all the products that you have in here to Argentina. You know, shipping costs, we've been talking with some of the vendors. For sure, shipping cost and custom make double or maybe more the price of the product that you can buy in here in any store. So we have some homework to do. Yes, we have a lot. And we are aiming this homework in two different situations. One of them, as managers, you know, there is a lot to be changed. There is a lot to be improved. And definitely, being in here, as I told before, and learn about your experiences, it might be very interesting to be able to change the head of the managers before, and then to be able to put something of this in our parks. But maybe the most important homework to do for us is with the society. You know, as a society, we need to recognize that this thing that it's going on, it can't keep on going anymore. We have to change, we have to learn, and we have to deep this process that it's been taking from the last decade, maybe a little more, to be able to change and to improve what we've been doing. And maybe that's all that I have to say to you. Maybe I was a little not very inspiring what I said, but I'm trying to be really raw of the situation that we have in there, for you to know what is going on. And the thing of me being in here, it's just a little step trying to change what we are doing, trying to improve our management about this topic. And you know, I was happy when I was invited to Roger to come in here, because I thought that finally these issues that some of us, we've been talking that needs to be taken care of, well, my presence in here is like a first step on that.